Hello and welcome to this week's very special episode of the Entrepreneur Interview Series, presented by the Undergraduate Entrepreneurship Association at Carnegie Mellon University. Today I am pleased to be joined digitally by a distinguished and award-winning alumnus of Carnegie Mellon University. He has earned both a bachelor's degree in business, concentrating in entrepreneurship, and a master's degree in public policy and management at CMU, and he is currently a trustee as well as a vice chair of the Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship Committee at CMU. He holds the position of chairman of the board of the Ascender Innovation Accelerator. He is the founding curator of the World Economic Forum's Pittsburgh Global Shapers Hub, and he is a board member of the Sprout Fund. However, his most outstanding achievement would be his position as CEO and co-founder of Niche. With over 140 million reviews and over 100 million visits in 2019 alone, Niche is the most popular place on the internet to find the right schools and places to live, and ultimately to make some of the most important decisions of your life. Again, it is my pleasure to welcome one of the greatest entrepreneurs in CMU history, Mr. Luke Skurman. Thank you for joining me.
Nix, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to spend some time together today.
Absolutely. Let's get started. So first, can you please give a high-level and brief overview of the general business model of Niche and sort of what you're trying to accomplish with this company?
So I was born in New York City, grew up in San Francisco, and always wanted to go to college on the East Coast. And during that process, it became very clear to me that choosing a college was a big deal. My parents were going to spend a lot of money. It was 4 years of my life, met all these friends, leads to career opportunities. It was a big decision that literally shaped your life. And during the process, what became clear to me was that the students needed a larger voice, they needed a larger platform, and a lot of the current research on schools was very focused on the academics, and college is more than just the academics. It's also about fitting in and really making sure you're going to click and be happy there. And so we went about building a great platform to help students and families try to choose the right college. And since that, we've expanded that to also choosing K through 12 schools and neighborhoods and graduate schools. And so today, Niche is the largest platform in the country for researching schools. As you said a moment ago, we had over 100 million visits to the site last year. We have two main revenue streams. We connect with schools in terms of helping them tell their message to our community of users who are really interested in doing research on schools. And then we work with brands. So for example, if you're looking at Carnegie Mellon, you might need a student loan or test prep or a 529 plan. We help facilitate those connections between the brands, getting in front of our users. So we work with both schools and with brands. That's the two different constituents of our business model today. So we've set up the platform where we can go horizontal. So we could go to choosing a company, to all the way to nursing homes. We can go international. But right now, what we're doubling down on and what we're most focused on is just the US education decisions from preschool through grad school. So we have the most traffic in the country, and now we're having a lot of success partnering with schools. So we believe that there's 40,000 schools that we can ultimately work with in the US alone. And right now we have about 1,500 clients. So we feel like we're still at really early days. We've got all this incredible user traction, and now we have success going to the market. So we're focused on there right now, but we're not leaving the ability to go more horizontal and go broader. So the big picture is to do more than beyond schools, but for the near term right now, we're just focused on working pre-K through grad schools right now in the US.
Awesome. So you've sort of just created a framework where you can take the same sort of process where you're helping people make decisions and then expand that to any really big decision.
We can, the backbone is really good data. So you have, in our example, whether let's say it's a college, we have the hard data, the statistics, the facts, the rankings, and then we have all the user generated content. So we have the quantitative with the qualitative that holistically tells you really what a place is like. And we can bring that same model to other big decisions. We absolutely have that ability to do that.
Awesome. I'll move a little bit into current events. So Niche recently received $35 million in Series C funding. Are you allowed to talk a little about where that's going to go and what you're sort of trying to create with that funding?
Sure. I mean, the the big picture there is that, we have something that's really working. We have a lot of momentum. We've got this traffic and we've got the success working with the schools. And we really want to lean into this and be aggressive right now. We want to be bold and we want to build a category defining company. So as you've seen with other sectors, let's say it's travel with TripAdvisor or it's small business with Yelp, we want to build the next great company that's helping with these big decisions centered around education. There's 70 million students are educated in the US every year. More than $1 trillion is spent educating folks annually. And as a sector, investing in digitally, their marketing, their recruiting efforts have been kind of underinvested, where they've been historically spending more on traditional marketing, whether that's direct mail or TV or radio. So we really want to build that B2B brand, making sure more and more schools know who we are. We want to continue to invest in engineering, invest in product, and then continuing to ramp up our sales efforts. But yeah, if you go to hiring.niche.com, you can see all the open roles that we have. We're always looking to hire Carnegie Mellon grads, so please look at those jobs. And if there's one that looks out, please get in touch with us.
Sure. So can you talk a little about how Niche was actually funded out of an entrepreneurship class at CMU's Tepper School of Business?
So over the years, we rebranded from, it was originally back in the day called College Prowler, and we rebranded as Niche in 2013 to go bigger than just colleges. But when we started off, the idea was just to research what a college was really like. Came up with the idea while I was a sophomore at CMU, started enrolling in entrepreneurship classes, and then my senior year, I took more entrepreneurship classes, and I enrolled in, we made it to the national finals of a competitive business plan competition, and we went to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, won the Undergraduate Entrepreneurship Association's Undergraduate Business Plan competition, and was also awarded the Canfield-Roseman Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Those two had kind of, I think, cash prizes of $2,250. I think one was $1,500 and one was $750. But that $2,200 really helped kind of get the company started and really buying our first set of computers and really deciding to go for it. So yeah, I always felt supported by my professors in entrepreneurship. When I was first a student at Tepper, I thought I wanted to be a finance major. Finance was cool. It was just a little too intense, a little too theoretical for me. The practicality of entrepreneurship really resonated me with a little bit of finance. It was a little bit of marketing, a little bit of strategy, a little bit of everything. I just loved entrepreneurship, and I loved those classes I took, and I just felt like I finally found what I was really meant to study at CMU, and it really felt great when I found that. And I was fortunate to feel to get some external validation from those awards, and just to keep pushing forward. And then I tried to stay with the community. After I graduated, I volunteered as a TA to help as a teacher's assistant for some undergraduate entrepreneurship courses. And then down the line, I've done some guest lecturing for some of the MBA classes and some of the undergrad classes over the years as well. But my true heart, my passion's always been helping out and being connected to the CMU entrepreneurship program in a big way. So I'm excited about today's interview.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you won some entrepreneurship awards during your time at CMU, correct?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little about those?
My senior year, I won the Undergraduate Entrepreneurship Association's annual business plan competition, which is awarded to kind of the top undergrad's business plan idea. So I won first place my senior year on that. And then also I won the Canfield-Roseman Entrepreneur of the Year Award, which is awarded to one undergrad every year, kind of as the top undergrad, and it's focused on entrepreneurship. And both of those had small monetary awards, and they were both used to help kind of get the company off the ground.
So you really acquired some of the funds for what became Niche later through prizes from business competitions.
Oh yeah, I mean we were really cash strapped in the beginning. I mean, really cash strapped. That $2,200 was unbelievably helpful in the early days. Um, in the beginning days, what we would do is we would buy used computers from Circuit City, and we would wipe them of all the kind of the junky ware that would be on a Circuit City, then double or triple the RAM. And we were buying computers, and we would buy used monitors, and those were our setup. And we could get a pretty good station for $300-400. This was like way back in the day. But the $2,200 went a long ways to helping us get going for sure.
So given your experience with those sorts of competitions, would you recommend that any business student, current business student, participate in business case competitions and pitch competitions?
If you have a true passion for an idea or for something that you're working on, yeah, I think that's cool. I wouldn't do it just for your resume. I would do it if you really were excited about something, but you learn by going through that process, writing the business plan, getting all that critique from the judges. It'll make you a lot stronger and a lot better. But don't do it just to go through the motions, but do it if you really care and you're really excited about the idea. But absolutely, if you are.
So it's really part of developing an idea that you really care about rather than just an activity to participate in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of feedback that you'll get and how much you have to take, your own idea even that much more seriously, it'll really push you forward in a big way. Absolutely.
So a lot of experts from a variety of fields believe that the value that we have placed on elite education in top-ranked colleges is far overblown and overstated, and that this is some sort of bubble that's going to drop in the future. Do you see this? Do you see a real value in highly ranked universities? And if not, why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think that I think there are I think first of all, I think in general more education is better than less education, and I am a believer in college, and I want colleges to succeed, and I want more people to get a great education. There's some basic metrics that you can look at. For example, the average indebtedness of a student compared to the average first year starting salary. So at a very basic barometer, if your first year starting salary is higher than your average debt load, um, that's still usually considered by most measures to be a good investment. Now, the inverse is that if you walk away from a college graduating and your first year starting salary would be less than the average debt, then it's typically considered a poor investment. So there are examples where there are certain institutions that are not as good of a value as others, and that's undeniable. But some of the best schools, they are able to provide more generous financial aid and more merit. They are able to help students get a higher first year starting salary. They are able to help just support the students in a more meaningful way to help them be trained to be as successful as they can upon graduation. So, so most colleges accept more students than not, and it's everyone wants to focus on the top tier institutions. They're actually a small percentage of what most students attend every year, though.
So you think that in reality, rather than focusing on rankings or prestige or the images of schools, we should be really focusing on ROI, return on investment?
I think we need to look at it in all different ways. I think Americans love rankings. They love lists. That's one way we want to be able to let families look at the schools on our site, but we also look at value on our site. I think college is, again, like I said, it's a big decision. 4 years of your life. For many families, it's the cost of a mortgage. It's a serious decision, and it impacts your life in a very meaningful way. And you need to look at it in a lot of different ways. It can change your life for the better, and unfortunately, it can also be a decision that you don't get as much out of as you could at another institution if you're able to do a little bit more upfront research.
So how does Niche balance the differences in providing information for K through 12 schools, colleges, and places to live? How are you working with all of those different things, and what are the differences between those?
Yeah, so we have a data team that's looking at different publicly available data sets that we can import, whether it's Brookings, Department of Education, whether it's Census, FBI, weather databases, but we're constantly trying to keep those up to date and making sure that those are as helpful to our users as possible. but very, very, very rough math. The traffic is roughly split almost a third, a third, a third between colleges, K-12 schools, and places to live. So we're focused on making sure all of those decisions are served well on our site. But yeah, they're all incredibly important, and we're pushing forward on all three.
What do you see as the value of alternative education paths, such as a trade school or the military or vocational school?
We're at a moment right now where we've surveyed many, many high school students, and the top two things that most high school students say about choosing a school, they want transparency. They want to know really what it's like, the value, how much it costs, and they're worried about the financial side. They don't want to be stuck with mountains and mountains of debt. Those are the two things we always hear about: financial concern and transparency. And now we're in this world where there's a pandemic going on, and in-person learning has stopped this semester. It's going to resume to a hybrid model at Carnegie Mellon in the fall. We also know that there's 40 million Americans that are now unemployed. There are a lot of different things that have changed right now. So as we're at Niche and we're thinking through all these choices, we think that more high school seniors are going to look to go to online college. We also think there's going to be more high school students looking at boot camps and looking at certificate programs, and they're going to be thinking about ways to get their education, their hard skills faster to get into the job market. We also think that there's going to be those 40 million Americans. History has shown that when you don't have a job and you need to reskill yourself, you go back to education. So we think that there's going to be a lot of Americans that are going to be going back to school, thinking about how to get their skills sharpened to go back into the workforce right now. So we're working really hard to make sure that more online school choices, more boot camps, more certificate programs. When you're making those choices, we want to make sure all those choices are be able to serve on niche, and we're working quickly to do that. We're moving pretty aggressively there, and I'm pretty proud of our team's work.
So you really think there's going to be increased demand for sort of these non-traditional types of education in the near future caused by this pandemic. So you're trying to broaden the portfolio of education options you provide information for?
I don't think it's going to go from 0 to 100, but it's going to be more popular than it was before. And I think it's going to progressively get more popular. I think it's clear. We also surveyed 80,000 high school students and college students, and they made it very clear that traditional in-person learning is still preferred. It's still what most students want. But yes, I think there's going to be a higher percentage of people that are trying to find ways to save money, be more flexible, not necessarily go to college for 4 years. I think the market is going to accelerate in the non-traditional sense. I do believe that.
Do you think this might create momentum towards something like online education as a result of immediate circumstances that were created?
Yes, I do agree that online education will be more popular post-pandemic than before. Yeah.
What do you think will be like the balance between online education and in-person education once that momentum process has ceased, maybe like 40 years in the future or something?
What I feel so far with this pandemic is if you look at the utility of going to school, or the utility of watching a music concert or watching a sporting event, we've proven that you can do those things. I can watch a concert on Zoom. I can take an online class. But that emotion, that feeling, that experience of connecting with your friends, or that when you go to a concert and you feel the crowd and you feel the concert, it's the feeling and the emotion and the experience. That's what's hard to replicate right now. I still believe that sitting in front of a computer doing a Zoom interview, it's good. It's not necessarily as good as the in-person, but there's cost benefit to it all. So we're not traveling to see each other, or I'm not having to fly to a million different meetings across the country. So I think what you're going to see is that this is clearly showing that this is a way to be efficient and ultimately save money. I don't think it replaces everything that does in person. But I think that there's going to be instances where you still want in person, but they're going to be less common, but they're going to be those really, really important, impactful moments.
So there's something really tangible about in-person education that online education will never be able to replace. But these will be two options that both now have great precedent.
Yeah, not everyone will be able to afford a in-person experience. Some people will not have that choice. But and some people just prefer online learning, and they prefer the flexibility, and they prefer the attributes that it has. But yeah, I mean, there's benefits to both modals, but I think that a Carnegie Mellon is a very unique institution, and I think it's going to be predominantly more focused on more of a campus-based approach. But I think they're also going to be leaning into their online offerings as well. I think they're proving that they did a really good job this semester.
Do you think there might be new technologies soon that might create a more compelling online educational experience, like perhaps like virtual reality or any other sort of media consumption type device that might change that momentum toward online learning?
Again, it costs $1 trillion a year to educate the 70 million students in the U.S. economy. And I definitely think that this is a sector that's going to continue to be invested in. Think about just all those buildings across the country, all the maintenance it costs to fix all those buildings, all of that every year. If you can find ways to create better and better outcomes and create those experiences, whether it's online or in person, people are always going to be thinking about that. So I think that people are going to be thinking through new ways to continue to get the model in a smarter and tighter way right now in a big way. This is not going to stop.
And you mentioned also that you were on the board of trustees of CMU currently. What's that experience been like, and what new perspectives on CMU have you acquired through that experience?
It's been an unbelievably rewarding experience. I've met so many fantastic trustees, and it's also been great to meet and work even closer with members of the leadership team at CMU, from President Jahanian to Provost Garrett to the deans of the 7 different colleges on campus, to a lot of the executives that help lead the organization. Carnegie Mellon is a really well-run, well-thoughtful place. I'm really inspired to help in any way I can. I think Carnegie Mellon is an amazing institution. My wife and I and our family, we live in Squirrel Hill, so we live about a mile from campus. I love being on campus. I love helping CMU. I think it has this unbelievable amount of potential, and I still think that Carnegie Mellon hasn't captured all of its potential. And that's what always excites me, is that it's this just tremendously amazing place. It's always been a bit of an underdog, and anything I can do to help it push forward is always really rewarding.
You mentioned that there's more potential at CMU than you think we might have realized yet. What do you think it might take, either from students or from faculty or staff or administration or anyone, in order to progress CMU toward achieving that potential?
I think, first of all, these things take time. So if you look, I mean, Carnegie Mellon, you could argue, was born in 1900. You could argue Carnegie Mellon, as it's formed today between Mellon College and the Carnegie Institute of Technology, is only 60 years old. It's a very young institution in a lot of ways. So I am not diminishing all that Carnegie Mellon has accomplished in any way, but I think that there's so much momentum. I mean, the student experience, some of the work that's coming out in terms of the health and well-being of our students, some of the related to the health initiatives and the athletic initiatives, how we've really upgraded the Tepper Quad and the Gates and Hillman Center over the years, and the new work down at across campus. It's just been amazing. I think if you look at the next 5, 10, 20 years on campus, it's only getting stronger. We have the right plan and we're just pushing forward right now. So I think everybody wants to make the CMU experience stronger. I think we want to make our alumni network stronger. Yeah, and I think everybody's on the right issues and we're chipping away at it.
And finally, if I may ask, what advice do you have for any current or potential entrepreneurs at CMU?
So I think of success as kind of an equilateral triangle, okay? And on the three aspects of the triangle, I would say is hard work, confidence, and passion. And if you need to do all three of those things. You need to love what you do, you need to work really hard, and you need to believe in yourself. And if you do all three of those things, you're going to have success. And if one of those three things is out of balance, you've got to figure out what that is. So it doesn't matter if you're the smartest man in the world or the wealthiest person in the world or whatnot. You always have to love what you do. You've got to work hard and you've got to believe in yourself. There's no choice about that. And whenever something's not quite going right, I always try to zone in on that and say, what's wrong here? Am I not giving it my best? Am I not happy, or do I not love what I'm working on? Or am I not working hard, or do I not believe in myself? And I've got to figure out what that issue is, and then I work on it and I get myself back in balance. But confidence, passion, hard work, do that and you're in good shape.
I want to thank you, obviously, for this tremendous opportunity to interview with me and to teach a little bit about your experiences with entrepreneurship to all of the viewers who watch these entrepreneur interview series videos. So thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you for watching this very special episode of the Entrepreneur Interview Series, presented by the Undergraduate Entrepreneurship Association at Carnegie Mellon University. That was Mr. Luke Skurman of Niche. You can find out more about Niche by visiting niche.com. For the entire UEA at CMU, I am Nix Pawlowski, wishing you good luck on all of your future ventures. Thank you.